another segment of Big Pets Under the Hood. And today, as you can see from the backdrop, I'm not at home in my garage. I'm actually at work in my commercial vehicle. But as you can see from the topic, that this is becoming a issue that we'll have to deal with. You know, in other countries, the price of petroleum is higher than what we pay here, and for a lot of those people, they pay, a pretty good premium for a liter of petrol that that they call it. And so, with the onset of the hybrid cars and the EV cars and stuff like that, the question is for a bunch of us, what is going to happen about our beloved gasoline powered vehicles? And the answer is nothing. Nothing's going to happen about them. But what can we do in order to fortify those vehicles? Well, you have a lot of things on the line. We're not going to stop producing gasoline no time soon. And you also have the thing that you could take and switch your vehicle over to ethanol. You know, you can also convert it to a EV vehicle. Replace the engine out and put a battery pack in it and a electric motor. You have so many ways you can go, but this is not an issue that is going to change anything in the car culture, because even though now we are moving aggressively toward the electric vehicles and the hybrids, and we're doing so. It's nothing wrong with it. It's hey, it's a great platform. It's a great deal. But should we be alarmed about what's going on? No, no, you shouldn't, because like I said earlier, gasoline's going to be here. Uh, Maybe the price of it is going to rise up. So what can you do? What can you do as a regular person in order to maximize your return or your investment on your vehicle? Well, it's always been this one thing called build it to run fast and drive it slow. And if you don't know what I mean, let me explain this to you. You take and build the engine as efficient as you possibly can and to make as much power as you possibly can. And then you couple that with a overdrive transmission, whether it be a single overdrive transmission or a double overdrive transmission. And then from that point back to the rear end, you get a rear end for something between the specs of maybe a 3.08 down to maybe a 256. And what that'll do is that at operating at cruise speed, say 65, 75 miles an hour, you could maintain those speeds at about 1,000, maybe 1,200 RPM. Less stress on your drivetrain because you have the overdrive transmission in order to lower the RPMs, and also you have the real tall gears in the rear end that will allow the vehicle to even get better fuel mileage. Because remember this, when it comes to building a vehicle, when you build a vehicle fast, what you want to do is multiply the torque from the engine, a tight converter, and the output of the transmission to a rear end that has a numerical order of 3.55 on up, because of the fact that you will be in the power band of the bill, where you want to do just the opposite when it comes to a vehicle that you're building in order to be fuel efficient. Yes, you can take and put a Martin LS, a Coyote, or one of the Hemis, something like that, in a vehicle. And if you choose to do that, that's a great platform. Hey, it's nothing wrong with that. You can absolutely do that, and you can absolutely couple that with a overdrive transmission and work your way backwards. But remember this: if you're shooting for the numbers of say 20 miles a gallon, let's just hypothetically use that number of 20 miles a gallon. Okay, so you're gonna need a vehicle that in the operating range that you're gonna be using it, say a highway vehicle. Let's say you're gonna build a hot rod, and you're not gonna race it, but you want something that's fun to drive and very economical and will not break parts. Okay, so with that being said, then you would need something within the 300 to 400 horsepower range. It will give you a lot of fun, and if you build the vehicle using these very tried and true and basic blueprints, you'll have that. Let's say, for instance, it doesn't matter what type of vehicle you're building, whether it be a car, a truck, it doesn't matter. The principle is the same. You take and you get the engine, and let's just say, for most people, you may not be a person that's gonna spend $1,000 or $1,500 on a 5.3 LS. You may not be a guy that's gonna buy a person that's gonna buy a modular Ford engine. You may not gonna buy a complete vehicle and just do a body swap or do a drivetrain swap. You may be this is geared for the person that's gonna take a small or big block engine, regardless of the make, and they're wanting to put this engine in a vehicle, and they're wanting to build it to have a reliable power plant, and they want to work from the power plant back and transmission and the rear end. And here we are. 350, 400 horsepower. Easy to come by any small block engine, easy to build any big block engine. The big block engine will give you more torque just inherently based on because of the increased displacement of the engine, you'll get torque. So that'll be an easier engine to build. You can do the same with a small block. You can build a small block with 300, 400 horsepower. That's easy to do with the technology of the day. The next thing you'll need to do is look at what is the operating range that you're gonna use the vehicle. Is the vehicle gonna be something that you're gonna drive to cruise nights, or are you gonna be looking to take the vehicle from your home and maybe go on a rod run, or you're gonna wanna go on power tour, stuff like that? Okay, so once you find out what are you gonna do with the vehicle, then you already decided on the engine. Then that's when you decide on the transmission. If it's a vehicle that you're gonna want to get, 18, let's just say anywhere from 16 to 20 miles a gallon on the highway, then you know that if you are going to want to drive the vehicle at 70 or 75 miles an hour, which most places you go now on the interstate, the speed limits are 70 miles an hour, 75, like that. So if you're going to want to operate that vehicle then you know that the most economical thing to do is to get rid of that non-lockup transmission, to get rid of that 350 to 400, the 727, the 904. You want to get rid of the C4, the C6. You want to get rid of that. And what you're going to want to look at is, if you have a GM, you want to look at the 200 R4, the 700 R4. You want to look at that because that's a very easy transmission. It's the first iteration of overdrive, and it's very easy to adapt those to most vehicles, even if you're going to do a fuel injected engine. If you're going to do a Ford, you have the AOD that you can do. If you're going to do a Chrysler, the Chrysler has a overdrive transmission that's automatic, and all of the vehicles, all of the manufacturers offer a manual transmission that's overdrive. Okay, so here we go. You got a 350 to 400 horsepower engine. It's gonna be easy on parts. It doesn't take a pristine engine builder to design this thing. This is something that's got 9-to-1 compression, open chamber heads. It's got a real relaxed valve train in it. It's not a bunch of overlap on the cam. The base circle on it is not real tight. Where you have a valve overlap where it be choppy. You can have a 110 or 114 low displacement angle. Your lift can be relatively mild, and so it's going to be hard. It's going to be very easy on the drivetrain. You can put a aluminum intake on it. You can run just about whatever size carburetor that you want. You don't want to get anything over 750, anything like that. You can stay between the 650 to the 750. That's what you prefer. But I'm just saying, this is a vehicle that you can go out and you could buy the vehicle probably already with an engine in it, or you probably already had a vehicle with an engine in it, and you can take the engine that you was thinking about. Hey, I want to build this thing where it's going to last me for a long time. You can slice your build at 350 to 400 horsepower. Very cost effective. The same thing I did. If you look back at in my history of the 468 Chevrolet that I built last year for my 82 short wheelbase pickup, that's the way I built that engine. That engine is 400 horsepower. It's a 2-bolt main, cast block. It's got 461 cast aluminum heads on it that are 1978 castings. They're open. They're open chambered, and I have a Comp Cam. I have a Comp Cam 268 cam in it. I have the Beehive valve ring. I mean, just a real, just regular build, just within the same amount of money that you would do a stock build with. You just enhanced a few parts, the camshaft, the valve train, and I increased the compression ratio for the engine was like 8 to 1. And what I did was put some flat top hyperdetective pistons in it, and raised the compression ratio to 9.5 to 1. That's all I did. And so raising that static compression ratio from the 8.5 to 1, which is what all the engines were from the late 70s to early 80s, that had to run on unleaded gas because of the economy and stuff like that at the time and what they were trying to do. Just those two simple things: camshaft, compression ratio. Raised it to 9.5 to 1. That was my 400 horsepower right there. Not a hard build. I took the 400 transmission out and I put a 700 R4 in there, which is from an 88 to a 91. It only took one wire for that transmission. One wire. And it was it's a 12-volt wire that when the vehicle goes into third gear, after 35 to 40 miles an hour, it'll lock up. And when the converter, that wire sends the voltage to the solenoid, and then the solenoid, when the valve body, when it engages lockup, it automatically goes into overdrive, okay? Then the next thing I did, I already had like 355 rear gears in the truck. So that put me right there. In the range that I could run 70 or 75 miles an hour. And I'll show you this. I'll do a video of it and show the RPM and show the speed on the speedometer and what it is. And the truck holds 17 gallons. So my goal is on the highway to be able to drive at least 350 miles on a tank of fuel at 70 miles an hour. And that's be able to be done. I've done it with my Monte Carlo, the same thing with it. It's got a much more aggressive cam in it, but it's the same drivetrain. 468, 700 R4, kind of a loose converter in it, and it's got 355 gears in it. And that thing routinely, it holds 15 gallons of gas. That thing routinely takes me 330, 340 miles on a tank of gas on the highway at 70 to 75 miles an hour. Now, you're wondering, why is he talking about that? Because if you build a vehicle where it's economical to you, then you'll drive it more. You'll enjoy it. It will be easier to take the vehicle places. You will love to drive it because of the fact that, hey, I can fill this thing up. I'm getting great gas mileage. I can go anywhere in it. It's not a trouble to drive. It used to be back in the day that everything we built it to go fast from a quarter mile standpoint. Now, after the G machines came in and stuff like that, then people actually start to turn the tide and say, you know what? I want to be able to drive my car or my truck or my project. And so they started finding ways to make them more efficient, to make them not be problematic, to not be breaking parts. And they use the information and all the testing that had been done and said, okay, you know what? I can take and build a nice hot rod, and it doesn't have to run nines. It could be a 15-second or 14-second car. But the thing of it is, I can drive it 400, 500, or 600 miles. I got air conditioning, I got heat, and I can really enjoy it. That's what a hot rod should be. If you're building a car, it shouldn't be that if you're building a race car, then yeah, it's gonna be on a trailer. But if you're building you a regular hot rod, then you should build it with the idea that I'm gonna be able to drive this vehicle. I'm gonna leave my home. I'm gonna drive. If I'm gonna go around car shows, I'm gonna be able to drive it around town. It shouldn't overheat. It shouldn't be a bear or embarrassment. And I should be able to get, if it's raining, I could have my windows up, turn the air conditioning on. If it's cold, I can turn on the heater. That's what a hot rod is. Now, like I say, if you're building a purpose-built car that you're gonna race or do something, do some spirited driving, then this video tonight is not for you. It's not for you. I'm talking about the guy or the girl that has a vehicle that they're gonna modify, put a set of tires and wheels on it, do something with the exhaust, do very minimal upgrades in it, make it their own, personalize it, and be able to drive it 400 or 500 miles from one place to the other and continue to drive it and not have to worry about if it's going to overheat, if it's going to be running at 3,500 RPM at 60 miles an hour and all that kind of stuff. This is the video for those people like that. So I'm going to go back and what I was talking about the rear end. Now, you can get good gas mileage with a 336, a 342, or 355. But if you really want to get in those high numbers, you want to look between the ratios of 256 to 327. Anywhere in there, that'll give you because it doesn't take but 100 pound-foot of torque to keep a vehicle moving down the road at 65 miles an hour. Now, the other side of that coin is, what RPM are you turning? Because it doesn't take but 150 to 100 pound for the torque once the vehicle is up and moving, to keep it moving at that speed. So, do you want it to be between 1,000 and 1,500 RPM, or do you want it to be between the 2,000 to 2,500 RPM? The higher the RPM, the more stress is on the drivetrain, the more stress is on the engine, the more stress is on the parts. So if you're building a vehicle and you're not gonna be, not gonna be drag racing it or something like that, you just want something that's gonna be a very nice vehicle that you can be at the stoplight, and if a new Mustang or Camaro or that on the side of you, you can, when the light turns green, you can hit the loud pedal and you can accelerate with him and have a little fun. This video is for you. This video is for you. So, if you haven't done so already, please do me one sided favor. Subscribe to the channel, share the videos, like the videos, and comment. And like I say, from this point forward, because I'm just about through with my C10, when I get home, I'm gonna finish up the installation of the idler arm and put the rest of the steering section on there, which will consist of the outer tie rod ends, the idler arm, the pitman arm, put all that together, torque everything down, put the tires on the vehicle. And hopefully if the weather holds up, I haven't driven the vehicle since I put the new engine that I built and transmission I built up in there. So I'll get a chance to bring it out the garage from its slumber and drive it and just do a shakedown of it and put some miles on it. And I'll be sure to put that up, to do it live so you all can see it. Before I tore the vehicle apart, it was a very good running truck. I had the vehicle since 1982, and it's an 82 short wheelbase. I've had it and the Monte Carlo that sits next to it since they were both brand new. And they've had big blocks in them for over 20 years. I put 454s in both of them. That's a favorite engine of mine, the engine I did a lot of racing with when I did race. And so that's what that is. I hope this video reaches everyone that's subscribed to my channel, and everyone that does look at this video. I hope that it gives you maybe an idea of to think about the vehicle you are building right now, or maybe you're thinking about building. Give you an idea of, hey, what do I really want this vehicle for? Am I trying to build a vehicle to win the Riddler or something like that? If you're doing something like that, then hey, this video is not for you. But if you are a person that wants to have a very nice vehicle, nice paint job, wheels and tires, good stance, ultra reliable, then this video and all the other ones that I have put out and the ones in the future that I'm going to put out will embrace that very topic. Building a nice vehicle from start to finish and not breaking the bank and being able to enjoy it. Thanks again. And that's the message of the day. I'll see you later. Good night.